Khamzat Chimae booked for UFC Vegas 11 fight, targeted to take on Demian Maia on Fight Island if he wins. The rising star, after his 2 appearances in a week on Fight Island, is set to return to the octagon on September 19th against Gerald Meerschaert. Chimae made his UFC debut on July 15th, where he scored a second-round submission win over John Phillips. He then turned out just 10 days later and scored a first-round win TKO win over Reese McKee. The Swede will now get his toughest fight to date when he battles Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert, meanwhile, is coming off a first-round knockout loss to Ian Heinisch. Before that, he submitted Darren Win at UFC 248. The veteran was supposed to fight at Herman at light heavyweight, but he tested positive for COVID-19. There is no doubt this is Chimae's toughest fight to date, as Meerschaert is solid on the ground. But if he gets his hand raised, Dana White said the plan is to have him fight Demian Maia on Fight Island in October. Kamaru Usman vs Gilbert Burns set for UFC 256, Jorge Masvidal vs Nate Diaz 2 in the works. ESPN reports the Masvidal-Diaz rematch is most likely to take place in January. The UFC's end-of-year pay-per-view will have 3 title fights on it. According to TMZ Sports, welterweight champion Kamaru Usman will defend his belt against Gilbert Burns on December 12th at UFC 256. The outlet also reports that the rematch between Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz is also close to being finalized for the card, with the BMF title being on the line once again. Currently, it is not known which of those fights would headline the card. Kamaru Usman is coming off a decision win over Jorge Masvidal at UFC 251 to defend his welterweight title. He was supposed to take on Burns on that card, but the Brazilian tested positive for COVID-19. Usman is currently undefeated in the UFC. Gilbert Burns, meanwhile, is undefeated since moving up to welterweight. He is coming off a dominant win over Tyron Woodley and before that knocked out Demian Maia. Who do you think should headline UFC 256, Kamaru Usman vs Gilbert Burns or Jorge Masvidal vs Nate Diaz? Leave a comment below letting us know what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Paulo Costa trolls Israel Adesanya with runner Sonya UFC 253 mock video. Paulo Costa decided to have a bit of fun with UFC 253 opponent Israel Adesanya before their fight on September 27. Costa recently released a mock video of their upcoming bout on the pay-per-view card that will go down from Abu Dhabi. Adesanya is played by Thai kickboxer Wanderlei Toquinho Gonçalves. After some theatrical entrances, and Costa coach Eric Albar is seen playing the role of Bruce Buffer, Costa is seen chasing the fake Adesanya around the octagon. This is a play on Adesanya's previous fight with Yoel Romero, which was poorly received by the MMA community for its lack of action. Costa expects Adesanya to run from him during their fight, and has dared him to stand toe-to-toe with him come fight night on September 27th. If Nick Diaz is coming back to the UFC, Darren Till has an idea for his comeback fight. It's coming up on 6 years since Nick Diaz last stepped into a cage, and nearly 9 since he last won a fight. But if the former Strikeforce welterweight champion and ex-UFC title challenger is coming back, and his manager says that's his intention, he'll probably have a bevy of potential opponents lining up to fight him. Count a fellow former welterweight title challenger among those throwing a hat in the ring, albeit very early, Darren Till. Till posted on Twitter that he'd gladly welcome Diaz back to the game. If at Nick Diaz 209 wants to come back and scrap, who's the biggest star, fight and best fight for him outside the middleweight champ? Me, that's who. Till posted. Augusto Sakai says several broken ribs hindered his performance against Alistair Overeem at UFC Vegas 9. Augusto Sakai suffered the first knockout loss of MMA career last Saturday night, September 5, 2020, at UFC Vegas 9, courtesy of the powerful knees of former Ultimate UFC heavyweight title contender, Alistair Overeem. Overeem hands Sakai first knockout loss. The Brazilian big man told AG Fight that the injuries happened early in round 2 of their 5-round heavyweight tilt inside UFC APEX in Las Vegas, Nevada. In the second round, I was hit with a knee that dislocated 2 of my ribs, Sakai said. Speaking to AG Fight, when he took me down, he hit me with an elbow that broke 2 more. So I was without 4 ribs, so to speak. That got in the way a lot. I could not defend takedowns. I could not show my jiu-jitsu. I could not defend myself very well. Kudos to him. I'm sure he used his experience in his favor. But I was expecting that. What made things difficult for me, and I'm not trying to come up with an excuse here, was the pain in my ribs. Even then, I tried to endure it as much as I could. What's next for Augusto Sakai? The loss snapped Augusto's 6-fight win streak, and after tasting defeat for the first time inside the octagon, he will now take the time to heal up before he mounts a comeback to start a whole new win streak.